Energy is another major pillar of power. If you just take it from its foundation, energy is effectively a critical input into any system. And what we like to call energy for our purposes is the base layer for both technology and money. And the most powerful nations are those that are energy independent, have access to low cost energy resources, and have abundant supply of those resources to basically enable growth. Hence why, similar to technology leadership, energy is a national security priority. The US literally has something called the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is a reserve of oil for national emergencies. And as this chart highlights, the right, energy consumption is essentially a one-way train higher since the first industrial revolution, which is really the first technological revolution as we highlighted within those cycles. Each unlocking of new energy sources throughout time, coal, oil, nat gas, and so on, basically coincides with the jump in technological process. And as the Jevons paradox highlights, we essentially just keep consuming more energy as it becomes cheaper. What's a little bit ironic is technological revolutions typically require upfront significant investment in energy to power the revolution. But then the technology itself tends to make energy cheaper and more efficient, which is effectively productivity. And it inevitably creates these commodity boom bust cycles. We've been in an effective commodity bust cycle for about 20 years. And over the next maybe 5-10 years, there's an opportunity for a commodity boom cycle. And overall, it's why energy and its general supply chain tend to be cyclical and not great long-term investments. But they do act as nice diversifying investments to balance a portfolio, particularly when you understand the supply-demand backdrop. So jumping to the next slide, on the demand side, energy demand at the time when supply is not really growing anymore is beginning to meaningfully accelerate as a result of multiple secular trends happening at once in the West. So on top of the multi-decade plus trends as it relates to supply chain reshoring and electrification, AI will be a major driver of increased power and energy consumption. The result and point of all of this is simply that there's a lot of opportunities in this electrical infrastructure build out, and many of them nicely overlap with AI and the technology pillar. So they sit at the intersection of that Venn diagram. A few examples would be analog semiconductor players like Texas Instruments and Monolithic Power. So not only do these analog players have increased semiconductor content as you shift the data center architecture away from CPUs towards GPUs, but they also have critical roles in the grid and upgrading the infrastructure as it pertains to that, as it relates to power consumption. So power is one of the most important, basically, considerations as you're building these out. And so you really want the most efficient, both materials as well as analog players within it to enable the latest shift towards higher power related use cases, whether it's enabling your home to power your EV or upgrading the entire electrical infrastructure grid to actually be able to handle AI data centers. And another thing that's critical for all of this is just baseload energy. Solutions like nuclear and natural gas are great transition solutions, so things we're paying attention to. And we're also paying attention to incremental energy sources like solar, as well as storage solutions and technological innovations as it pertains to batteries.